Peace, blessings, and love, family. This is the Elder Rasan Shakur out of New Orleans, Louisiana, coming to you with another great and very informative video. Peace, blessings, and love to all the melanated family and mankind. But family, this video is going to be about a black neighborhood in New York City called Seneca Village. Yes, Seneca Village. Back in the 1800s, an all melanated neighborhood that the New York City race soldiers and politicians stole. I'm going to play a little clip and let the family hear this. A lot of black people already know this information, and a lot of us don't. That's why I study through videos and do my research. We're going to play a little clip that I'm going to, it's about a 5-6 minute clip. Then I'm going to come back with my commentary.
Black communities in which they defined what it meant to be an American, even when the law and the government did not see them as such. One of the first free black communities in New York is Seneca Village. In 1825, and that of course is pre-emancipation. When we're talking about New York specifically, slavery ends in New York in 1827.
So a group of African Americans who were affiliated with the African Methodist Episcopal Zion Church, they were the first to buy property in this area that became known as Seneca Village.
Daily life in Seneca Village would have been impacted by racial violence on a daily basis. They lived in an integrated community, so while it was a free black community, they had among them Irish neighbors and some German neighbors too, and they intentionally placed themselves there.
Seneca Village comprised approximately 70 buildings. There was 3 churches. The first church to be created was the African Union Church. This church also did have a school, and it was one of the few schools that was available for African American students. So it helps us understand Seneca Village as a place where community and church and education was very important.
I would say one of the more famous residents, if you will, was Albert Lyons. He actually lived in Lower Manhattan during the draft riots. And his daughter, Maritza, who was a teenager at the time, she's the one who left her memoirs and really explained the horror that happened in Manhattan streets during the summer of 1863, when African Americans were basically being tortured and murdered by their fellow New Yorkers. In 1855, when the city starts thinking about a public space that will be called Central Park, they decide that Seneca Village has no value and said we would have more value if we became a public space, and we will call that public space Central Park. Of course, it really had nothing to do with that community or upholding what that community stood for.
You know, it was about 800 acres of land, and while it was not the first example of the use of eminent domain, it was certainly a prominent example. But it is certain that, you know, the creation of the park did really disrupt the development of what was one of the city's most important African American communities.
That's right, family. These devils stole that neighborhood. 800 acres of land. And if they would have stayed together, ain't no telling how it would be today. That's right. Same way with Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma, Rosewall. Everywhere we try to build, they take. Same way in New Orleans. A lot of people don't know this. The Superdome, they got dead bodies up under the Superdome. That was a black neighborhood at one time, before the Superdome. That's right. So they wanted to build a downtown stadium instead of putting it out in the suburbs some damn where. No, they say, well, we're going to move all these black people out of here. We're going to take away their neighborhood, their churches, their schools. and everything else, because that's what white America do. Now, I didn't know they had a riot, you know, in Seneca Village, New York. Well, anywhere white folks were going to be at during that time, you know there was going to be a lot of lynching and stealing land and everything else, because that's what they are. Born thieves, born murderers, born liars, born deceivers. That's right, family. So that's my little video on Seneca Village, one of the first black communities in New York. The first black community. Let me correct that. The first black community in New York. And it would have been thriving today if these oak beans, these uncompassionate devils, you know, do what they do. But their time is up. Your time is up because you done stole everybody's land. America is not your land. Africa is not your land. Australia is not your land. New Guinea, New Zealand, the Canary Islands, it's not your land. White man. Peace and blessing, family. Put up the likes and shares and stay tuned for the next video live streaming. I'm out.